And coming up this evening, more pressure mounts on Director General and the board of SNIT to resign as organized labor demands heads to roll over the botched hotel sales saga.
I think that the board members and also the Director General and some management members must go. We are asking for some engagement with SNIT board. And we've given them 1 month to initiate that engagement.
We'll also tell you the impact of the strike by organized labor despite a call on workers to resume work tomorrow.
Nothing is going on. Someone was vomiting right here. Next door and passed. No one did anything to the patient.
Colleges of Education Teachers Association of Ghana declares a luta continua despite clearance of all outstanding research and book allowances by the government.
The government released funds for the payment of the academic year's book and research allowance. It has nothing to do with what teachers have gone on strike. What we are talking about does not concern the book and research allowance. We are talking about the arbitration awards given to us by the National Labour Commission.
We'll delve into that shortly on the bulletin, and later, Member of Parliament for Asante Achim North and a member of the Subsidiary Legislation Committee defends new ally seeking to give lawmakers the right to use sirens without speed limits.
Some members of Parliament and some even state ministers and even some judges have been arrested on the road because they are trying to meet their work schedule. So the remedy is to amend the law to make it lawful for people like that to be able to have special access where necessary.
Well, the public is divided on this particular issue.
For us to implement the use of the siren whilst driving, I think it's not a good idea at all.
Also worrying in the bulletin this evening, Ghana Statistical Service reveals nearly 2 million youth in the country are neither in education, employment or any form of training as Ghana joins the world to commemorate Youth Skills Day. We've got details for you of this and many others in the bulletin. Stay with us.
Our news is coming to you live on Ultimate 106.9 FM in Kumasi, Empire 102.7 FM in Takrady, Cool 103.5 FM in Ho, Rage and Might FM in Tamale, Somali FM in Wa, My Star Radio in the USA. Also live on Facebook on Starr 103.5 FM and on starfm.com.gh around the world. This is Starr 103.5 FM.
Grateful for your company this evening. Welcome aboard Ghana's most comprehensive news analysis program, Starr, today here on Starr 103.5 FM. We're streaming live on Facebook, so do join us on Facebook.com/Starr 103.5 FM with your thoughts, your comments, your views and contributions. Alternatively, you can send all of those to me via WhatsApp number 0552 880 216 0552 880-216. And remember to also share the link on Facebook so that others can also get to be a part of the conversation this evening. My name is Joshua Kodjo Mensah. The details now. And the Elizabeth Ohene-led board of the Social Security and the National Insurance Trust is under heavy fire to be dissolved following the botched SNIT hotel sales saga. Now, latest to demand their heads is organized labor, who say, despite the termination of the deal to sell off 60% SNIT stakes in some hotels, heads ought to roll. Now, you recall last Friday, organized labor comprising about 10 labor unions unanimously declared strike effective today. But that was short-lived as the board of SNIT released a statement indicating the discontinuation of the sale of the hotels. At a press briefing this afternoon, leadership of organized labor called off the strike, but not without calling for some members of the board of SNIT to be dismissed, including the Director General of SNIT. Here's General Secretary of the TUC, Dr. Yao Ban, speaking after that particular press engagement this afternoon.
So we insisted that the statement must be signed. So in addition to the chairperson of SNIT board signing the statement, they also wrote a letter to us. And that is what for us was important. And that letter came only on Saturday. So the only day that we could have called a meeting was Sunday. And as you can imagine, that was difficult. So we met today first thing to call off the strike. And the reason we want our members to go back to work tomorrow is because we have some employers who may punish some of our members if we say they should go back immediately and they don't go. And it's already almost midday or past midday. So that was why we said, so yes, you are right. If it had happened in the course of the week, we could have immediately called off the strike. But it happened during the weekend, and all our conditions were met on Saturday. I sat in my office the whole day, and Snitch managed to get me to serve the letter on me. So with that, we think in good faith, we should also call off the strike. I think that the board members and also the Director General and some management members must go. If you have read our statement, we are asking for some engagement with Senate Board. And we've given them 1 month to initiate that engagement. We are hoping to bring this on board, to have a discussion. We will not just rest there. Depending on what comes out from our engagement with Senate Board, we'll go back and meet the President again. We met him on this matter. He referred the thing to Senate Board. Senate Board didn't act as we expected. We nearly took this action. And now Senate Board has listened to us. So we will continue to engage them. We are not, as some people are saying, we are not bloodthirsty. We are a responsible trade union movement. And so we know that the only country we have is this country. And we will work with all those concerned. We resolve some of these issues amicably.
So that's Dr. Yauban. He is the Secretary General of the Trade Union Congress, the TUC, and he spoke at that press briefing this afternoon, basically calling on members who are on strike to resume work tomorrow because largely their concerns about the sales of SNIT's 60% stake in some hotels to the Agric Minister, Dr. Brian Echampon, have been discontinued. That's what SNIT said. That particular move is no longer going to go through, even though SNIT is still of the belief that, well, the hotels are underperforming, for which reason they would need some level of investment, capital injection to be able to function. And that's why SNIT says, well, this is the situation, and that's why we want to diversify. But because of the backlash, because of the fact that unanimously a lot of people are against this particular sale, well, we have discontinued that particular move. But let's look at the board of SNIT, because the calls from organized labor is for some members of the SNIT board to be dismissed, including the Director General of SNIT himself. And so let me now let you know exactly who constitute the board of SNIT. Well, the chair for the SNIT board is Elizabeth Ekia Ohenem. And for those of you on Facebook, we're going to roll the pictures of these board members and get to understand exactly who among these people the organized labor want off the board. That's the chairperson for you of the SNIT board, Elizabeth Ekia Ohene. Now, there's also a representative of the Ghana Employers Association, Dr. Emmanuel Edu Sarkodie. He is also on the board of SNIT. Dr. Emmanuel Edu Sarkodie, who is a rep of the Ghana Employers Association, also a member of the board of SNIT. Then there is a representative of organized labor. Now, when you look carefully at the composition of the SNIT board, we are looking at 4 representatives from organized labor who are agitating against the sale of the 60% stake in these 4 hotels. We have 4 members. They have 4 reps of them on the SNIT board. And that will raise a lot of questions. We'll get into the conversation shortly. Now, the first rep is John Senano Amegashi. He is a rep of organized labor on the SNIT board. Then there is Joshua Ansah, who is the Deputy Secretary General for the TUC, Mr. Joshua Ansah. He's also a representative of organized labor on the SNIT board. Then there is Dr. Evans Agbeme Jikum, also a rep of organized labor on that same board. Miss Ivy Naso, a rep of organized labor on the board. Then there's a representative of SNIT Pensioners Association, Mr. Benjamin Odote Asuman. He's also on the board of SNIT. Now, the interesting part is that the representative of the SNIT Pensioners Association also is fallen basically under organized labor. So that makes the number 5. And let's see if we have more. Then we have the president's nominee, Mr. Peter Oseidua. He's also on the board of SNIT. President's nominee again, Mrs. Gloria Irene Amaki Paida, she is also on the board of SNIT. Then representative of the Ministry of Finance and Economic Planning, in no other person than Mrs. Abnel Seasari, the Deputy Minister herself, also on the board of SNIT. Then the Director General himself, Kofi Busumpim Osafomafo, who is the Director General of SNIT, also on the board. Then there is the company's secretary, Mrs. Gifty Annan, also on the board of SNIT. So for those of you on Facebook, you can tell, so we are rolling the pictures of these board members of SNIT, and organized labor says some of these people need to go. And the big question that people are also asking is that you've had your membership on this board from the initial stages of this particular deal. How come these people did not stop the sale, did not raise the concerns that you are now raising on the board? We'll get into the conversations with a governance expert on this particular one. So these are the people who constitute the board of the Social Security and National Insurance Trust. But organized labor is telling us today that they want some of these people axed from the board. They want the board chair out, they want some board members out, and then the Director General of the Social Security and National Insurance Trust, NIT, they want him also out. That is the demand of organized labor. And they have also said they've given a 1-month ultimatum to government to engage on certain issues. And if that 1 month elapses without government or SNIT being available for these conversations, what we're going to see will be massive. In fact, they say it will be worse than we have experienced. And today, we saw what happened in the various institutions, the various government agencies, because of what is happening with SNIT, because of the fact that they say they are not happy. Now, labor analyst Austin Game, he has described the intervention by organized labor as timely. Listen to him. When we come back, we'll be having a conversation with a member of organized labor on the way forward.
We used not to have people like doctors forming a union in the manner in which it is. UTAG didn't have union in the form in which it is. The various top leaders in the country who are now union leaders, managerial and professional unions have emerged. So there is a lot of sophistication. And so you cannot just get up and say you are either declaring a strike for the sake of it, or you are fighting for your economic and social rights, just as it used to be. Things have changed, and therefore organized labor may seem to be a bit slow, but I think that they are doing just the right thing. It may not be exactly totally right, but I think it's fair to say that they've tried their best. And so it's just fair that they take their time and beat the iron when it is really, really hot. So I think that's what they've done. But when it comes to pension, it's a different kettle of fish. And so I think that I love my heart for organized labor for stepping in at this point in time. And this should be a very, very good lesson to the incoming government in January. Certainly, we cannot have this kind of I don't want to use words that sounds attacking personalities, but this is the most careless thing that was going to be visited on working people of Ghana.
Right, so you had the interesting comments from Austin Game, a labor analyst, on the issues and the intervention basically by organized labor. Now, what we do know, we'll be having a conversation with a member of organized labor, Edward Karwe. He is the General Secretary for the General Agricultural Workers Union. They are a part of organized labor, and they have been raising the concerns. They actually called for the strike, and today a lot of things came to a halt. A visit to the hospitals showed clearly that the nurses, the doctors had pulled some services. We went to some other places, and we saw the impact of the strike of organized labor on these particular institutions. But let us also know how it affected you, the strike by organized labor. Some people went to have lunch, and the restaurant was worried because mostly they serve civil servants. These people did not show up at work today, and so there was some impact in that area too. So if you experienced what happened in terms of the strike by organized labor today. If you were a victim, let me know exactly via Facebook. We are streaming live. Kindly join us, or you can send your thoughts to WhatsApp number 0552 880 Now, Awisile Jange, my colleague here, she visited some hospitals in the Adabraka enclave, and she has this to report on the state of affairs when she did visit those hospitals.
A visit to the Adabraka Polyclinic at Accra saw an empty OPD with several patients left stranded, hoping to be attended to eventually. A 7-month pregnant woman called Wendy expressed her frustrations.
I came here as early as 7:30 to 8 a.m. I'm pregnant, actually, 7 months. So I didn't know about the strike. I didn't know anything. So I wanted to come early, do everything, and go home because I'm tired. The nurses are telling me they are not working, but they are here for just emergency cases. And I was sitting here, maybe someone will attend to me in case, but no one is attending to me. Nothing is going on. Someone was vomiting right here. The nurse saw and passed. No one did anything to the patient. And it's very sad, very, very sad.
Others who stayed at the polyclinic, despite being ignored by nurses and doctors, lamented how dire the situation was.
There were no nurses and doctors here. There was a man here for treatment. He had a wound on his leg. There was an open wound, but he was bleeding. There was no one here. They had to ask some of the people here to direct him to the treatment ward so he would get treated. But yeah, my friend also had to wait for a doctor who was coming on the shift before he was attended to. He nearly collapsed when he came in. It was bad.
Dry. Obi cry yare baha. Yare for painful be obi bia ko. South I say obi ako. Nto hwe se na hasitia. Ha na high dry. Nko force yare ba bi mu ko. E fa na mo ko. E bi ni pa ne yare ni serious a o ko nye wo no kwaku. Nti ye ka se aban. On fa ne nansi form. No nye den. Oma extract ni so ntwa na yare for no mo ho so ntwa mo.
So basically, the women there are very concerned about how they were attended to when they got to their various health facilities. And for those of you on Facebook, you can see the visuals of how how the hospitals were close to neglected as a result of the strike by the organized labor. We'll be getting to the phone line shortly to get to speak to Edward Karewe. He's the Secretary General of the General Secretary, rather, of the General Agricultural Workers Union, a member of organized labor. Mr. Karewe, thank you so much for joining us on Starr today.
Yeah, good evening, sir.
I hope you're doing well.
Yeah, just managing my life small.
Aren't we all? Well, today, organized labor decided to call off the strike. And the reason primarily was the fact that, well, the concerns that you expressed earlier had been heeded to. SNIT has discontinued the sale of 60% stakes in these hotels and says, well, you know what, let's come back to the drawing board. There's no sale ongoing. One would have thought that that should have been enough for organized labor, but it looks like, well, you're not too satisfied. Exactly what is the problem here?
Well, let me say good evening to you and those who are listening to us. And I must say that I'm happy to be allowed on your important network to share the views of organized labor, and then particularly about things that have emerged within the few days. We have come to the point that we need to call off the strike action after an intensive and friendly debate, among organized labor leaders when we met today. Now, one of the things is that when we issued our press release last Friday, and then declaring the strike action, we put one issue forward. Not that it was the only issue, but one most important issue that we needed immediate thing before we look at the rest was to Senate to terminate the process leading to the sale of the Senate hotels. The 60% in the share in the Senate hotels.
Mm-hmm.
And we have succeeded in getting that one done. So when we met today, we said, okay, fine. In order to keep with good faith and to keep with the public, what we put up in the public, then we would call off the strike action. But then our other issues, we must call on Senate to deal with them within 1 month. So if you look at our press statement today, once we are calling off the strike action, we are also giving Senate an ultimatum that within 1 month they must meet organized labor and address all the issues that are bothering us.
Right. And talking about the issues that are bothering organized labor, for the purposes of clarity and education, what are those issues?
Well, I can only mention some of them because there are a number of them. It has to do with pensions. You know, first and foremost, you recall that some few months ago, ILO came out with a report that the manner in which Senate is being managed, within few years, they will not be able to pay pensions. Senate denied that. Now, we also recall that we have problems with our pensions, particularly those who have gone on pension since 2020. You know, there have been a shortfall in their lump sums as compared to those who have gone on pension 2019 before. And the top-up has only come for 2020, but not 2021, 2022, 2023. That shortfall is still outstanding, you know. And the attitude of Senate is also one that smacks of no regard for organized labor, you know, as if the Senate is owned by someone else and labor does not have a stake in it. In fact, we are the shareholders of Senate, and we are also the beneficiaries of Senate. So if anything happens to Senate today, we'll be the most affected. In fact, our future is in danger. But the way Senate is being managed, to the extent that the management and the board thinks that they cannot, you know, manage these hotels and that they are now a liability and they want to sell them out. I mean, they must dismiss themselves first. If they give you a job and you cannot do it, you should be dismissed first. So I don't think that the Ghanaians have put them there to go and preside over selling of Senate properties. And you see, anybody who is looking at those properties will know that those properties were acquired a long time ago, given the prime places that they are in. So today you come up and take a decision to sell them off as if you own Senate. No, we will not accept that. That is, and there are those issues we'll be looking at into the future.
Right.
We are also, yeah.
And on that score, I'll get to the other issues that you are raising, for which reason that you believe that, well, Senate has 1 month to engage with you on these critical issues. The argument is that when you talk about the board of Senate and the fact that, well, the members there are sitting down, letting these things happen, you also have representatives on the board. And what really has been their input to all of this, because this does not start today. What did your representatives on the board of Senate tell you, for which reason the board okayed that the hotels be sold in the first place?
Yeah, we know that we have members on the Senate board. And I'll tell you that if you know what board's decisions are made, they are made by resolutions. You see, and it matters not your position, your view. Once the resolution is passed, then it becomes binding in the entire board. And that is what has happened. It isn't that our members have no raised objection to this. They have raised objection to this type of arrangement which Senate wanted to do. But of course, at the end of the day, it became a board decision. You know, so we are holding the board accountable. And when we say we are holding the board accountable, as well as the management, we are not excluding our members. When we are calling for the dissolution of the board, it does not mean that our members will still be there. Of course, we have the right to send members to the board, and we can do that anytime. And let me say this, that we are not excluding anybody on the board. We are saying the board members, and we are also talking about the board management. who are being paid to manage efficiently and effectively the resources of Senate, which they are not doing. You know, if it is just to go and sell the shares up, that any other person can do that. And again, you see, it is very difficult to take away government from this. Government consistently has failed to submit to or remit to Senate contributions of workers. And we are having nearly 700,000 workers on government payroll. And I mean, 99% of them pay Senate contribution. Yet, government, we are told, up to 9 months have not remitted the contributions to Senate. What government only does is to arrange some bonds and issue some bonds to Senate. But we all know today that bond has no value in Ghana. If you have a bond, you cannot redeem it. Our brothers and sisters are there always mounting pressure and picketing at the Minister of Finance just for their bonds they cannot get. So you see, the whole government arrangement with Senate is to run it down. And we have gotten to a point to say that no, all these things must stop. We will no longer allow government to run it down. And you can even see that the Senate hotels to who? To government officials. You know? And we have a principle that once you become a government official, you cannot tend to buy properties of the state. That is as a principle. So it matters not whether it is being sold to Honorable Brian or any other person. We are opposed to it. And you can't run down the system and then tend to sell those properties to government officials. That is where we stand. And we are saying that we need a total overhaul of Senate.
Right.
Senate architecture has to be changed. That's what we are calling for. That once the termination of the process to sell the shares has begun, we will now have to meet Senate, or Senate will have to meet us, and we look at all these issues.
And you expect all of this to be done within the 1 month period that you have served?
Well, if we want to do it, if Senate wants to do it, they'll do it. And if they don't do it, we'll go back to our constituency. We'll tell our members, look, people who are beginning job work today, if we don't save Senate, the next 10, 20 years, Senate will not be there, and their future will be in danger. We will not allow them. So Senate must sit down. If they don't sit down, we have the capacity to go around the whole entire country. We are already in the entire country. We will educate everybody that the Senate is at a point of insolvency. We are not those who are saying it. I know report has already indicated that if the way Senate is being managed, if it continues that way, within a few years, they will not be able to pay pensions. And these are the signs that are just emerging.
Right. So as it stands now, the Director General of Senate, I mean, he has also mentioned that these calls for the dissolution of the board, for him to be sacked, among others, is extremely unfair because they have done really well. They've performed so well to ensure that the scheme gets to where it is currently.
Please, we don't need coaching from Senate boss to tell us how his performance is. He's performing for who? He's performing for Ghanaian workers and the Ghanaian populace. If he's performing well, if the management had done well, they will not be selling shares in the hotels. They will not be telling us that, look, those assets are not performing, and therefore they want to sell them out. We are here. We are so ahead. They themselves came out. One of them, who was acting for the hotels, just acting allowance alone, he was taking in his acting allowance in dollars to the tune of $8,000 for that acting allowance for about 6 months or whatever. Is that prudent management? Is he the one to judge himself, or we those are observing him to judge him? We are no more going to take this type of public officials when they are being called to order. They come out and they think that they know everything, and they're telling us who we are. I mean,
that they know it all, and you are running our systems. We all see. If they acquire new property for Smith, nobody will complain. If they were telling us Smith is more efficient, no one will complain. But here is the case. They sit there, including the board chair and the rest, and they are selling out the Senate hotels that they never acquired. They should tell us what they have acquired over the years. And they should tell us that what they have acquired is better than what they are now selling out. Please, we don't need lectures from him about his own performance. He should know that he can't praise himself. He should let us praise him. If he's doing well, we'll praise him. We have nothing against the Director General or the management, but we have something against their outcomes. What they put in, the outcomes are negative, and we will not allow that.
Right. So as it stands now, you are calling for the dissolution of the board and the action of the management of SNET basically because of their performance. How are there any timelines you are attaching to this? Because you are still calling for the engagement also. Will the engagements change anything about the calls for the dissolution of the board and the removal of the DG?
We have a number of issues, like I said. Even if you look at our press statement, we indicated that SNET must engage us within 1 month to address all our outstanding issues. We can't use this press statement to list all our issues there. So we have not listed them there. What I'm saying is some of them. But until we meet face to face, they will not know, all the issues that we are talking about. So we are giving them an opportunity. If Senate had listened, if the board had listened, we have cautioned them that they should not proceed with the sale. When MPLA wrote to them that they should terminate the process, if they have stopped, I don't think that there would have been the need for us to be doing what we are doing today. But unfortunately, the same MPLA, speaking through the Minister of Employment and Labor, said that they have cleared them to continue with the sale. This cannot continue. And we are saying that if they want, it is a choice to engage us or to continue to brush us off and then be telling us that they are performing well. That attitude can no longer go on. We are given them 1 month. And organized labor, please, no one should take us for granted because we have reached a point where we've seen that our public officials are not concerned about our welfare. Because if you keep our contributions for 9 months without sending it to Senate, are you not jeopardizing our future? It is coming from government. Then when they are not performing, then you are saying you want to sell the properties out. Who are you selling them to? To government officials. I will not allow that.
Right. But Mr. Kariwa, my question basically was that you're calling for two things. Even now, there are two things you're looking at. You're calling for the engagement within a month, and you're also calling for the dissolution of the board and the management. And I'm asking, which one comes first? The engagement or the fact that you want the board to be dissolved and then you can engage? And in that case, who are you engaging?
We are talking about some of the issues that when we engage them, they will come up. It is not that we single out some and leave the others. When we engage them, these are some of the issues. And I've also made it clear that the issues are not those that are not the only ones that I'm talking about. And that is why we have not given a number of issues. So please, we need to get it clear that we are not saying, it is the issues of concern are only the dissolution of the board, amendment, and so on. No, they are more than that. Look, in principle,
I'm listening to you.
We will not allow government to continue to sell state property to themselves. There are lands all over being sold. It's not only in Senate. And we, as workers and Ghanaians of this country, are concerned about that. Various institutions, even bungalows, they sell them out to private people. Look, I think there's not going to be a future. I think governance will end with them. We will not allow that. So we as workers, when we meet it, we will raise all these things, including government.
Very well.
Yeah.
Very well. Mr. Kadewere, thank you. Thank you so much. I'm grateful for your time this evening.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Right, so you heard the General Secretary for the General Agricultural Workers Union, GAWU, Edward Karwe, speaking to us on this particular issue. The demands that SNET, organized labor, is rather making on SNET, including the fact that they want the board dissolved, they want management also sacked, including the Director General for non-performance, and they want an engagement on other issues. They have a plethora of issues that they need to deal with government on, and they want that meeting to be done within a week. And in fact, we've also got indication from people like Dr. Isaac Bampo Addo. He's chairman of the Forum of Public Sector Workers, and he says that if after a month they do not get a positive response from government, we should expect something worse than what has happened so far in terms of their fight for their rights, right? We're talking about organized labor. This is Starr today here on Starr 103.5 FM. We are back after this short break with more. Stay with us.
Starr today, burst, fast, and credible.
So from one agitation to the other, let's talk about education and what's happening at the colleges of education, because members of the Colleges of Education Teachers Association of Ghana, CTAG, have vowed not to call off their nearly 1-month-old industrial action despite release of some 199 million cedis outstanding research and book allowances by the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission, GTEC. Now the strike has resulted in a complete halt of academic and administrative activities, leaving the future of the academic calendar in limbo. But the Director General of the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission, Professor Ahmed Jinapor, says the government has cleared all outstanding allowances owed members of CTAG. Listen to him.
CTAG is currently on strike. The reason why they are on strike is informed by 3 pillars. 3. 1, they want a top-up for research and book allowance. Madam Chair, as the Director General of the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission, I stand here and inform all principals of the 46 colleges of education that that money has been paid. You can start sourcing it from Monday onwards. From Monday, you can start taking your money through GIFTNET. Again, I'm also happy to inform you that the first batch of this year's book and research allowance, totaling about 199 million plus, of which all the 46 colleges of education are included, have been submitted to Ministry of Finance for payment. I think we need a clap for this too. In addition to that, most of the institutions have submitted data for the all year round teaching, and that is also going to be paid as quickly as possible. On that note, I want to use this opportunity to call on our colleagues, the tutors, to call off the strike and go back to the classroom.
So that's very instructive from the Director General of the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission, Professor Ahmed Jinapor. He's asking the teachers to quit the strike and go back to the classroom. But the teachers say payment of book and research allowance has nothing to do with the ongoing industrial action. Let's take a listen to National Secretary for CTAG, Thomas Ampoma.
The information from the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission concerning the fact that they have paid book and research allowance of 199 million Ghana cedis to CTAG, so CTAG to resume work, is factually inaccurate. It's inaccurate because he is referring to amount of money which are supposed to be paid to all tertiary institutions, including all the universities, for the academic year, which they are now requesting from Ministry of Education. They are requesting from Ministry of Finance through the Ministry of Education to release funds for payment. These are not monies that are going to be paid to people or to the electors even anytime soon. It is the process that they have started and put in place that the government will release funds for the payment of the academic year's book and research allowance. It has nothing to do with what CTAG has gone on strike with the issues that we have with them. What we are talking about does not concern the book and research allowance. We are talking about the arbitration awards given to us by the National Labour Commission on 2nd May 2023, which the government has refused to comply with for over 15 months now. The effective date of the arbitral awards, which they are still insisting not to implement, but finding all possible means to force us to go to the classroom, is January 1st, 2023. it means that the monies to be paid to members of CITAC is in arrears of over 19 months, and the government is not ready to pay the money. Down, we hear they have gone behind the NLC to take steps that will ensure that we go back to the classroom so that they can go and sleep and they will not pay that money. And we are insisting on our right under the 1992 Constitution.
So that's Thomas Ampoma. He is the secretary for CTAG. Unfortunately, he's joined me on the phone lines. Now, Thomas, thank you so much for your time this evening.
Good evening, my brother. How are you?
I'm doing well. I hope you're doing well too.
I'm doing very well, sir.
Right. So, Thomas, the GTEC boss says that among the things that you were asking for which reason you are on strike, is a top-up on the book and research allowance. He says that has been paid. From Monday, you can access that funds. Why are you still on strike?
Thank you, my brother. Thank you very much for giving us this opportunity for the massive listeners across the country to listen to us. We heard this morning that the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission Director General says that he has paid CITAG the arrears of book and research for the 2023 academic year. In fact, there's no truth, the story is not accurate. There has been nothing that has been paid to any member of CITA, as I know for now. Nothing has been paid to anybody. And in fact, the book and research allowance is referring to was amount that was supposed to be paid to us last year, and they did not pay it. So if they are paid, we would have realized it in our accounts today. It has never been paid. And it is the manifest aspect of the arbitral awards that they have to implement for us before we return to class.
So as it stands now, it's a luta continua. And what has been the level of engagement with the government on your concerns? It's almost a month since you declared the strike.
Yes, this is the 5th week. And we've seen that the government has taken an entrenched position, and we are bent on not honoring the National Labour Commission's arbitral awards. The fact is that the arbitral awards was given on 2nd May 2023, and the effective date for implementation of that arbitral award is January 2023. It means that we are into 19 months for these awards to be implemented. And you recall that when we went on strike last year, the Labour Commission called all of us, gave second directive, and the directive was that we should call off our strike while government takes steps to implement the arbitral awards by the end of October 2023. The government never took any step to implement these arbitral awards. We wrote to the NLT informing them that the government has refused or has failed to implement the arbitral awards for the second time. So they should take the government to court. Per Section 172 of the Labour Act. They never took any steps. They wrote to us that they have referred the matter to their legal team or their legal department to take action. That is in November 2023. Now, brother, you know that from 2023 November up to June 2024, National Labour Commission never went to any court to enforce the orders they themselves gave on 2nd May 2023. As soon as we declared the strike, they invited us, and then they told us to go back and call off the strike again, so that they will now go to court. Surprisingly, they went to court, and then they asked the same wages to report at the court on the 26th of May. Same wages never went to the court. They never did any. They didn't do anything to same wages, and now we are seeking an injunction against a legal strike that CITAC has embarked on. That is an injustice, that is unfairness, the CTAC will never control to this kind of intimidation.
So clearly, there's no commitment from the government side to honoring this particular laboratory award, and for which reason you're still on strike.
Exactly. There has not been any commitment. What is even sad is that some of the aspects of the arbitral awards, which is very easy to implement, they have intentionally, deliberately refused to implement them. Remember, we have over 2,000, let's say 2,000 lecturers in the colleges of education. You have to give them 1,000 CDs each. How much will that cost? You have to give them 1,000 CDs each. That aspect, which is even just the minutest aspect of the arbitral awards, the main arbitral award is that give the colleges of education staff, or you have done a staff audit. So migrate all of them, the staff audit, onto the university salary structure. So they will benefit the same salary as the university counterparts are benefiting. Government is saying that no, they will not do it. They think that we don't deserve it. Meanwhile, we are teaching degree students. We have graduated 2 batches of degree graduates. And they say that if we don't qualify, even though the National Labour Commission has given that arbitral award that we qualify for that benefit, they say they will not do it. And they are now behind the Labour Commission to get means to force us so that we go back and teach, so that they go back and sleep, and then it means that they will never honor the arbitral awards. We are saying that until monies are all the monies. Some of our colleagues have died over the 19 months ago. They didn't benefit from their toys. We are saying that until the monies are paid, we will never go back. We don't have any negotiation with anybody. They are to comply with the arbitral awards, which implies that they should put that on the university structure so that we benefit from the same salary and allowances for the universities.
When next are you appearing before the National Labour Commission?
We don't have any appearance at the National Labour Commission now. They have instituted a court action against the government, let's say National Wages and Salaries Commission. They are to appear on the 18th of this month. That's Thursday coming. Now, after that, they have gone to or seek application for injunction, that's an interlocutory injunction against CTAC, which our lawyers have also filed our defense. And that matter too will be heard on the 18th of this month. So when we go to the court, whatever the court says, it will not change our position that until we see money in our account, we will not call off the site today, tomorrow, or even in the near future.
Wow. And I hate bringing in this conversation, but I'm sure as teachers, you're also concerned about the academic calendar, your students that you're teaching in school and all of that.
Yes, we are very, very concerned. Some of us, we have our brothers, we have our sisters, we have our children, all in the colleges of education. But my brother, you must also feel the pain we are going through, the suffering we are going through in this economic hardship in Ghana now. And you deprive somebody of this benefits, welfare, for over 19 months, and you still want to perpetrate this crime and say that the person should also go to class and teach in an empty stomach. How do we even go to school to teach? How do we even go to the lecture halls? What are we using to as tools to teach? You are depriving us of all these benefits that we need to work. Even the students sympathize with us because the conditions under which we work. I couldn't believe that in the college, when somebody is a chief tutor, that is the highest rank in the college. The assistant lecturer, who is the lowest rank in the university, takes salary and allowance higher than the chief tutor in the college. Can you believe that? This injustice is what LSE sought to cure with the arbitral awards, and says that they should extend the same salary and conditions of the university to the colleges of education staff. And they have done a staff audit. They have classified every staff in the college. And they are to implement it since May 2nd, 2023. They are saying that they will never implement it. If we even go, whatever we go, they will not implement it. And they can use force because they are government. They can intimidate us through the LSE and all that. But now, we are saying that no, if we sit down for this injustice to be enmity against these Ghanaian citizens. It will not work. We are saying that they should implement the Awita Awards. When they implement it, we'll go back and teach. And the work is there. We can do it. Academic calendars can be reset. They can reset academic calendars. Academic calendar is not like somebody who is dying when a doctor is sick. Somebody is sick and the doctor is on site. No. Academic calendars can be reset. So that is what we are saying.
Okay. Well, Thomas, thank you. Thank you so much. And we'll see how it pans out, especially in court on Thursday. But grateful for your time. Right, so that's Thomas Ampoma. He is the secretary for the Colleges of Education Teachers Association of Ghana, CTAG, and their stance is pretty clear. If the money does not hit the accounts, government should forget about the going back to the classrooms to teach. This is Starr today on Starr 103.5 FM, and there's a lot of conversation surrounding an ally which seeks to take speed limits off for a certain class of people, as well as to ensure that they can use sirens. We'll hear from them shortly on this bulletin. Stay with us.
Starr today, first, fast, and credible.
Well, so all day there's been the conversation surrounding the ally which seeks to give the use of sirens and some permits to drive without speed limits to a certain category of people. Well, Member of Parliament for Asante Achim North, Andy Apiakubi, has justified the legislative instrument 2487, seeking to give lawmakers the legal right to use sirens and drive without speed limits. Now, Parliament is seeking to amend the Road Traffic Regulations 2012 LI 2180 to give MPs and judges, among the others, the right to use sirens without speed limits. The new LI, which was laid in Parliament about 3 weeks ago, has drawn public condemnation. But addressing the media in Parliament, Andy Apiakubi, a member of the Subsidiary Legislation Committee, explained the move is to deal with the exigencies of the works of MPs. He assured the rights will not be abused.
Ministers of State have talked about that. So also, members of Parliament, because of the earlier desire of governments to impeach the flow, the travel of members of Parliament to come to Parliament to vote on bills, the Constitution itself says that let them come unimpeded. But in recent times, we see that the restriction is rather not coming from central government or government, but it's rather coming from situations on the road. So assuming we had members of Parliament living in different parts of Accra, and the road situation is that bad that they cannot come to Parliament to do the work that they are mandated to do constitutionally, and they still use that time in traffic, what will be the quantum of work he will do when he gets here? Already he is tired. Again, one will argue that leave home early. So you leave home early at 4 o'clock, come and stay here at 5, and come and wait till 10 o'clock when Parliament will resume. And by that time, what amount of energy would you have to expend? And you finish here, and you still have to wait until 8 o'clock before you can go home. Look at the loss of time and loss of quality man hours. So if there is any justification in giving special access to any of the Article 71 office holders, then it presumes that all the members of Article 71 office holders ought to be given the same access, so that in the discharge of their duties, we can hold them and we can expect that the productivity will improve because they are not impeded on the road. And we have witnessed situations where some members of Parliament and some even state ministers and even some judges have been arrested on the road because they are trying to meet their work schedule. And you go to the police, you go to the Attorney General, you go to the IGP. He says, I implement the law as given, and that I cannot help the situation because the law says that. So the remedy is to amend the law to make it lawful for people like that to be able to have special access when necessary. And indeed, when you are driving on the road in the early hours of the day or late hours of the day, you don't really need any siren or you don't really need any special access. It is when there is congestion on the road, and there is also the need for you to meet deadlines by way of time, that need will arise. And when it does arise, it is for the purpose of doing your assigned duty for Mother Ghana. So I don't see why we have to impugn hatred, impugn jealousy, impugn mistrust into the provision. It is omnibus and it covers a lot of institutions. So attempts to single out one particular institution for rebuke is not fair. And I think
I'm not sure it's about hatred or whatsoever that you have called it, but you can also understand the outcry from the public, from the issue of how this can be abused or has been abused even in the past. You cannot say for certainty most of the vehicles that are on the road are for state institutions been driven by a minister or his driver. Even in instances that the drivers are in the vehicle alone, they use sirens and all that. So it is about the arbitrary use of it that is also angry.
I agree with you. Every right must be enjoyed responsibly, and therefore they have placed the right on the member of parliament or on the minister or on the police personnel. So in a situation where that person who has the right to enjoy that right is not there, it makes it offensive for you to enjoy the right that is not meant for you. And therefore, if the judge's car is going and there is no judge sitting in, I mean, you don't have that immunity, then the police can deal with you. In a situation where it's my mother that sits in the car and not the member of parliament, yes, then you don't have the right to enjoy in the first place. So we can check the abuses by implementing the law, targeting the rightful persons to enjoy the right. So yes, in all situations where there is a possibility of people trying to abuse the situation, and it's not only in this law, many situations people try to abuse, but abuse of the law is also unlawful, and therefore you'll be subject to the law.
Confusing out there as to whether the airline has been laid or not. What's the case?
The airline, to my knowledge, and this one is to my knowledge, I may be wrong if the procedure has not been followed. If the procedure, as I know it, as I understand it, has been followed, then the airline has come through the consideration, the pre-laying stage. And indeed, pre-laying brings also people, all stakeholders, the public, everybody is invited. So if you come and you are opposed to anything, we will consider your position also. So it has come out of pre-laying and it has been laid, to my understanding. It's not my job to lay it. So if it has not been laid, it is not my fault. As far as I am concerned, as a member of the committee, we have passed the pre-laying stage, and that we have okayed it as a total instrument to be laid. So my understanding is that it has been laid. And when it is laid, it takes 21 days for maturity. So if it has not matured and somebody wants to raise issues with it, you come by way of motion. And either fortunately or unfortunately, the motion will be carried only by a member of parliament. So if you are not happy with it, you promote that objection through your member of parliament. And the position is laid. And it requires 2/3 of members of parliament to throw it away. So if you are able to mobilize the support for your motion, 2/3 of members of parliament to throw it away, it will be so thrown out. But if you are not able, then we come to where we are, that it is carried.
Finally, some members of parliament, many, already have a silence.
Oh.
Why they do? But they choose us when they use it.
Okay.
Why put this in air line to cause this public disaffection for you?
Those members of parliament who have sirens in their cars are not allowed by law to do so. And like my friend said, that people sometimes abuse or frustrate or even disrespect the law. It is impunity. One thing though, some of the vehicles, as we import them into the country, carry sirens. But that doesn't mean that you have to use it. The system in the car is different from the use of that system in the car. So assuming you have the siren in your car and you are not using, I'm not sure you caught any trouble with the law enforcement agencies. But assuming you didn't even have it in the car and you have it in your pocket and you are still using it, the use of it is what is criminalized under the law, and therefore the law will deal with you. But to bring sanity into the legal environment, it is important to catalog that which you can do and that which you cannot do, so that if you want to charge anybody for offense, you need to relate it to the law under which you are charging that person. No non-existing law would be applicable for application in the court, and therefore it's important to make sure that for even the enforcers of the law, you have the provision that guides you into enforcing that law. That is why it is necessary to place it within the law, so that all of us will be under obligation to respect that law.
MPs are allowed to use dispatch riders.
So you heard Andy Apiakubi, Member of Parliament for Asante Achim North, providing some level of justification to the amendments to the Road Traffic Regulations 2012 LI 2180, and the amendments is with the LI 2487, which would seek to give MPs and some justices of the Supreme Court the legal rights to use sirens and also drive without speed limits. And it's quoted a lot of public concern, with some reacting to whether or not they believe this is in the right direction. Well, some of you have been speaking to us on the matter. Listen.
For the siren, I think that due to their busy schedules, maybe they have to get somewhere on time, so they have to use the sirens. But the overspeeding, I think we have laws that governs road safety, right? That makes sure that everyone is supposed to be in a speed limit for a particular road.
They should enforce it that there should be a very few or selected people who should be using that. And if you are a member of parliament and you have a meeting, you should make sure, we know that they have busy schedules, but they should also make sure they set off before the actual time for the meeting to avoid all this.
I believe that the ministers and the MPs are already having a lot of advantages in the country, and now for us to implement the use of the siren whilst driving, I think it's not a good idea at all. I honestly think that something should be done about it, because when you give them the opportunity to do that, some might misuse that opportunity, and then there's going to cause and that's actually going to cause a lot of accidents on the road, which is actually not a good thing at all. We're in a country where we need to do a lot of things, and this is what we are thinking about. Trust me, it's not the best, and I think something should be done about this.
Well, you have some of your concerns right there on whether or not the LI is in the right direction. But the Bureau of Public Safety is worried about the risks associated with the amendment to the LI. Samson Declue is Associate Agent Built Environment at the Bureau of Public Safety.
The big deal is that it is illegal for them to even be having it in the first place. So you can just imagine now making it a legal mandate for them to have it. And we can all understand the nuisance it's been causing in our cities over the years. Even the police have found it difficult to restrict some of these strobe lights, even on private vehicles. So the big deal is that it's already illegal. So why are they doing it? Not that they're making it legal, what are the implications for the public safety? So our plan is to push that these amendments are removed. Already, we have these amendments fetching to the judiciary, fetching to our Speaker of Parliament, which we think is fine. But adding ministers and MPs is totally going to cause a lot of chaos in the city. So we want to push for the amendment to be removed so that it remains as it is. And necessary checks are done so that all those who did illegally are arrested and are through the law.
The judiciary is enjoying it. The Speaker is enjoying it. Why can't ministers and members of parliament enjoy it too?
So you can imagine the number of ministers and MPs we have in this country. Let's assume there is a program in Accra or even in any city at all, and every other MP with his or her entourage are driving with this speed limit of them. I mean, we have schools scattered around. The safety of the citizenry. Why should MPs even be enjoying these more than other citizens? Why can't they feel what we feel on the road so that we fix it for everyone to enjoy? Even in some cases, we have seen that some of these drivers of the MPs use the vehicle for their own personal things.
So you heard Samson Deklu. He is with the Bureau of Public Safety speaking to Sewami here on Newsroom on GH1 television this morning. And definitely we'll be getting more in the coming days on this particular LI. Now, when an LI is laid, it has a maturity period of some 21 days. We're told that it's been in Parliament for about 14 days. So we are looking forward to the maturity of these LI. And I'm sure that before then, the issues will still be coming to the fore and we'll be having the conversations right here for you. Now, as Ghana joins the world to commemorate Youth Skills Day, the Ghana Statistical Service has revealed nearly 2 million youth between the ages 15 and 35 in the country are not in education, employment, or any form of training. Now, the Statistical Service adds that females dominate the youth in this category, making up approximately 1.2 million of the number, with males comprising about 800,000. Additionally, over 500,000 of the youth in this category reside in the Greater Accra region. Quite interesting statistics there. And we'll be getting more from labor economist at the Ghana Statistical Service, Anthony Odro Dentra. And he has joined us on the phone lines to have a conversation on this matter. Mr. Odro Dentra, thank you so much for your time this evening.
Good evening.
I hope you're doing well, sir.
Yes.
Fantastic.
You're up to.
I am doing well. I am doing well. Only worried about the fact that about 2 million people who are like me in this country are not engaged in education, employment, or training. What more is there?
All right. So thank you and good evening again. Also to your tourist. So yes. So this is coming from the the panel data collection that the NSS embarked on 2022. And so the quarter 3 of the 2023 edition actually put out this figure for those, as you rightly say, age bracket 15 to 35 years, which is our youth, if you like, age for Ghana and for that matter, Africa. Because the UN definition for the youth is actually 15 to 24. But this is for 15. We extended to 35 just for our context.
Quite interesting. I mean, is there any special reason why we are seeing more females than males in this category? I mean, making up the 2 million, we are looking about 1.2 million being females. Is there any reason?
Yes, the reason could be the what we call the labor force participation rates for males and females. So, I mean, the labor force participation is usually higher for males compared to females. So, and if you are talking about youth that are not in education or training, then obviously a higher percentage goes for females, as is indicated in the release.
And for policy making sake, what does it mean to our job creation agenda as a country?
Yes, so I think there's a need to do more. Obviously, this is what we call the ideal youth. I mean, these people are termed as idle. And you know, I mean, they say that the devil finds work for idle hands. So obviously, if this proportion are not increased in either education or training or employment, then it calls for concern. Because what is happening is that this is what we call the not utilizing the labor supply of the youth. And so, yes, if they are not finding jobs to do, then they will be forced to do something different. But let me also say that the fact that they were not engaged in employment work, there are different forms of work. So employment work is what you do in exchange for pay or profit. But they may have been engaged in other forms of work. For example, own production work. So own production work that they might have done that they consume by themselves or by the household. Or it's also possible that some may even be in the care economy, take care of the aged, the elderly. Some may also be involved in household chores, activities, and also volunteer work. So this is, we're engaged in employment work. So it's possible that within the reference period, they engage in other forms of work, but not employment. But of course, this signifies strong institutional barriers to access employment or training opportunities. And I think that we need to design what we call active labor market policies to prevent and reduce youth unemployment, including relief.
Quite interesting. Quite interesting. Very well. Thank you so much, Mr. Kodjo Mensah, for your time this evening.
Thank you for having me.
Right. So you had a labor economist at the Ghana Statistical Service, Anthony Kodjo Mensah. So this is the figure that we have. 1.2 million females aged between 15 and 35 unemployed, also not in any form of education or training. About 800,000 males between the ages of 15 and 35 also in that same category. Exactly what does that portend for us? You heard Mr. Kodjo Mensah. He mentioned that, it could also mean that they might be engaged in other things that are not captured under employment, training, and education. So those things that they're engaged in, sometimes the devil finds work for the idle hands. We are entering into a crucial election in December. What will be the security implication? Because it is said that when it gets to violence perpetrated during elections, electoral violence, you don't see the old ones perpetrating those ones. Mostly, it's the youth, the unemployed youth who get used, because you and I who are employed might not have the tendency or might not be inclined to want to do the bidding of others in terms of political vigilantism, among others. It is mostly, that's what the statistics tell us, that people who are unemployed are more susceptible. So security-wise, what does it portend for us? We'll be getting the conversation underway for you on that particular one. But let me know, 0552-880216 is the WhatsApp line. You can join us with your thoughts, your comments, your views, and contributions to the stories that we've done. And let me quickly go on Facebook, because some of you have also been sending some messages on Facebook. Evans Japan, I see you on Facebook. Aaron Babako Komisa has also sent one that is on Facebook talking about people having to be aware of fraudsters and their schemes. Well, thank you very much, Aaron, for sending us that one. And as and when we are able to raise Sani Adib, we'll have that conversation with him on this particular development. But let's talk about disability, shall we? And an inclusion activist, Jennifer Mensah-Bonzi, is demanding that authorities create more accessible spaces to accommodate persons with physical challenges. The founder of Vigilo Mobility Foundation finds it unthinkable the inhumane treatment persons with disability are subjected to in Ghana's local airports. She's worried several persons with disability will continue to face exclusion in their social lives and economic pursuits if the narrative remains same. Ultimate News' Ivan Heathcote Fumador has more.
27-year-old Fred Ejay sells lady slippers at the Kejetia market. He became paralyzed at the age of 8 as a result of polio. He lost his only support when his mother, a single parent, took ill while he was in junior high school.
Because me from collaboration my children me say this ready and ya dia o sra de nyakupo hira nti say me da me film collaboration village ho nyina no na me gya adopa nyina ado aye kwa bebre manu me ko ho ame aba adwuma na ho na me dua ba nyina nti through that na me de ehwe me won kakra from GHS2 nti ho na me benya stroke me benya stroke na say busiafo na be fa no ko a mo ko hwe ne ba sa na ese me na me start my life.
At a tender age, Frederick had to work as a farmhand to see himself through school. In final year senior high school, he was forced to drop out, unable to keep up with his fees, disqualifying him from writing his final exams.
Me and I'm sure from GHS2 out to SHS 1 out to Form 3. It's me do Form 3 no, and I feel you remember the Form 3 first time now I'm drop school. Me me answer me was in school. It's me drop here we could me na me feel I'm be share Kumasi ya. It Kumasi at me by beginning then I my pace. And I'm a me the Atina Tech Junction. I'm at home.
His next chapter of survival has not been any less burdensome. Frederick relocated from his hometown of Kokrentumi in the Eastern region to the Ashanti regional capital, Kumasi, to begin street hawking in a wheelchair. From his home in Afro-Nkwanta, he pushes himself through major roads to the Babayara Sports Stadium to pick his trading cart. The ride is perilous and a real picture of how the roads are inaccessible to persons with disability, unable to use the pedestrian walkways lined with gutters and stationary vehicles. He rides dangerously, competing with cars on the road. This is where he changes over into his customized trading wheelchair, parked at the back of the stadium. From selling ladies' purses, Frederick saved enough to purchase this hand-powered wheelchair fitted with a cart. Clearly exhausted, he tells me this is only a transit.
Quest today was to find out how Frederick goes about his economic activities and the challenges he's facing raising enough money even to attend school and to fend for himself. But it appears that the issue to do with mobility of persons with disabilities on our roads and how accessible our roads are to persons with disability appears very glaring. And from the challenges we saw, him walking, using his wheelchair by the side of the road, he not even having the privilege to use our pavements, which are riddled with potholes, gaping gutters, and vehicles parked on the shoulders of the road where he's supposed to use as a pedestrian using a wheelchair, is quite glaring. And how he was able to go over that gutter is not anything you would see as an easy work.
Frederick heads off again into the road on his way to the Basel Central Business District. At this point, I can only wonder how he's going to navigate his way around the very busy junctions, confusing intersections and roundabouts, which take experienced drivers a great deal of care to pass. Frederick virtually vanishes into a sea of coaches, buses, cars and tricycles as he enters the Asafo Bus Terminal and Transport Enclave. The slightest mistake or miscalculation could be fatal. Frederick tells me he has no other option than take this life-threatening commute daily to make a living.
But how can the challenges in this semi diffi abahano? It's say Fia could do a media runabout. Now the bedu VIP station, cars no mile quine, VIP buses no any spin test no muludomo mile quine. And they be crab baby on the bogus no one here. We measure back with Shabby Quinty. One day I blow up me do a semi take it very time. I met him watch a crack across me trap VIP, a trebby Bromoton Telapiano. I could do overhead Nasi and send my freak a crowd. When you provide no so called could do don't cake, Trahonoma, Central Market, I'd be rock inside no say I had. You can't run about one, KG run about to be a or 2 for state unit. I hope I am anything. Meet me in how by 30 minutes, 1 hour and some if you will.
Even in the midst of despair, Frederick has enrolled in school to accomplish his educational goals of entering the university. The Joy Standard School, where he now studies, has relocated the general arts class downstairs to accommodate him. Its director describes Frederick as a shining inspiration of resilience and determination.
When I see him struggling through the staircase and others, and I see people who don't have any disability and they are just playing about, I really talk to them that look at this guy, you see what he's going through, he's still determined to get something. So it's a form of inspiration to others.
In a month, Frederick will sit the West Africa Senior School Certificate examination, but his economic woes continue to haunt him. He has to skip school on Thursdays, Fridays and Saturdays to do his hustle.
So my school no everything because transportation I know it. My back class, Monday to Wednesday. Monday to Wednesday, I'm the Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, I come market at Cotton Ade. I can send me back classes full week in but a bus also, also do no sponsor me. It's a bus, I don't mind watching me. I credit can make transportation and farm back class and cry. After take a card by a manager.
At the Kejetia market, he makes a margin of 3 cedis for each pair of slippers he sells. After raising 2,500 cedis to register for his examinations, he fears he'll be homeless after the month of July, when his next rent payment falls due.
Next month July we are me match me rent no expire. And I can save we and I made a register here me wasinu. It is me here capital me be renew me down. Now many baby I made my son bedroom because the many baby I now must want you me. But you my bed then I'm school so bed dear mommy. It's me here capital me the best me at the same time me here scar me the bed rent me down because you say me 3,600. I me renew me down for 2 years. They say there is 70 me select.
Regardless, Frederick is on a noble mission to help empower other persons with disability to stop street begging. He has already introduced 2 physically challenged persons to his kind of trade and wants government to grant such special persons capital and designated spaces to trade.
And I'm disabled too. I begging, but I can't emphasize no she feel or a bed man, mammy, but I'm also a Kobenya Bidi, and a one Ghana make an honest no stress. It's a when I can be honest to get or no one, and I'm moving if about Konos in Namaha. It's a Namasu Nipper too. I begging, and I say, bed and I'm always over here, Juma. And just to be shame one, makes me a boy because a lot. Though one guy saw no one before. I don't see a beggar, may find a way to means on no wedding. A big giant to see a scadia. Makes me have a load in the door. I'm at the oil no sooner. What for materials and don't know why near Guinea Tonabua.
The Persons with Disability Act 715, passed by Parliament in the year 2006, enjoins government to make education free for all persons with disability. If the act were functional, instead of going for these slippers on credit to sell, government should be giving Frederick capital to enhance his trade. Aside these local obligations, the UN SDG 8 compels government to promote sustainable and inclusive economic growth, full and productive employment, and decent work for all men and women, including for persons with disability. With none of these legal and policy aspirations yielding any benefits to Frederick Ajay, it will take the magnanimity of benevolent individuals and institutions to lend a helping hand, either to offer Frederick a decent place of accommodation, support his trade, or sponsor his education. For GH1 News, my name is Ivan Heathcote Fumado, Ultimate FM, Kumasi.
And here in the studios of Starr 103.5 FM, I am Joshua Kodjo Mensah. Benghazi's up next with the latest in the world of sports. Benjamin Yamo, what's happening?
Well, thank you very much, Joshua. And in sports, the Black Stars captain Andre Dedeayu stated that there will always be controversy over who the Black Stars captain is, and has called for the future captains of the team to be well prepared before taking up the mantle of captaincy of the Black Stars. He said this in his speech delivered at a sports psychology lecture at the UG campus, where he served as a guest lecturer. After touching on his experience competing at first major international tournament in the Black Stars, losing the second AFCON final in 2015, Dedeayu expressed or addressed the touchy subject of the Black Stars captaincy.
Always be the debate sooner or later. The next one who is coming, it will be another debate. The next one who is coming in 10 years, it will be another debate. So that's how it is, and we need to anybody who tomorrow is going to be the leader of our nation should be ready for that, because we can't take it away. You know, so there are things we just need to learn from, prepare, be calm, and let it brush off. Like that. Thank you very much.
And that is Andre Dedeayu, captain for the Black Stars of Ghana. Still with some football news, and Spain have arrived at the Adolfo Suarez Madrid Barajas Airport following their 2-1 victory over England at the Euro 2024 final. Now, this is the fourth time the Spanish team have won the championship. Players set off from Berlin this morning, as later today they will meet the Spanish Prime Minister before heading out on a parade around the streets of Madrid to celebrate with the fans for over their win. It was a cagey game with England until the 86th minute when Mikel Oyarzabal put the team in front, securing the win for the Spanish team. Now, Spain's Lamine Yamal, who also plays for Barcelona, is the youngest player to ever play and score at or assist at a European Championship. They helped that teammate Nico Williams secure Spain's opening goal. Still with that particular game and the defeat for the English team, they have fun having speaking about whether indeed coach Gareth Southgate will have to continue as coach of the team or they have to look for someone else.
Disappointing, really good out of possession in the first half. Spain so much better in the second half. Worthy winners, no complaints.
We're used to it by now.
Gutted, absolutely gutted. I thought it was coming home. Unfortunately, it isn't.
Sad overall. They gave us the memory of Cole Palmer's goal. Just sadness, really.
I know we lost, but at the end of the day, I am quite proud of England for getting to the final, and I'm proud of Cole Palmer, who came on and scored his first goal.
We've got young players coming through. I think the future's really positive, more so than it's been at any point, right?
Palmer and Cole are the future. I think we'll be okay.
Young team, Kodjo Mensah is fantastic. So young, so it's all looking good in the future.
And what about Gareth Southgate? Is he the man to take England forward?
I think he's had his chance. He's done brilliantly. He's transformed us. We need to go on another gear now and let's see who can do it.
I think it's time for a little bit of a change. Gareth's done well, but he ain't got it. He ain't cutting it for a top manager. He's had a lot of luck. He's the luckiest manager on two legs. 2 finals, semi-final, quarter-finals. He's done great, but we need somebody to get us over the line.
He's quite a cautious man, so I think that possibly we could do with somebody with a bit more forward thinking.
On the fence, I'd say overall yes. Pro Southgate, yeah.
I think he deserves to choose. From where we were to where he is, where he's taken us, I think he deserves to choose.
And that's fans of the English team reacting to the team's defeat at the Euro 2024 Championship played in Germany. Let's go on to Copa America, where authorities of Copa America were forced to arrest dozens of fans as they wanted to enter the stadium without tickets and those who caused damages to the Dolphin Stadium. The video showed fans from both countries, Argentina and Colombia, jumping over the gates and running to get lost among the fans who entered with the original tickets. The organizing committee decided to open the doors of the Hard Rock Stadium for the entry of fans, and the decision was to prevent chaos at the time of access of people. The Florida police had to reinforce security as soon as order was restored, and within minutes arrested several of the fans who entered without tickets. Now, following the incident, several areas of the stadium were temporarily closed until the organization authorities could control the situation in that particular section of the stadium. And that should be it for our sports.
Many thanks, Benjamin Yama, for bringing us the latest updates in the world of sports. Let's wrap up with what is happening elsewhere. And I'll take you to Nigeria, where the president of the country has recently announced a policy that will allow massive food importation into the country, aiming to address the current challenges in food production facing Nigeria. The policy entails the suspension of duties, tariffs, and taxes on the importation of maize, husked brown rice, wheat, and cowpeas through the country's land and sea borders.
It's a problem, but then what are we doing to solve the problem? That is what is important.
Okay, so
what government is looking at is the president is deeply concerned about this issue of food availability to the citizens. When he wakes up, he feels very concerned and worried. While we have done a lot of all of this work, I'm telling you, it's not going to translate into food immediately as it is. So what would the president have to do? So he's looking at the possibility of having some food to be imported within this lean period. That's why it's not just an open blanket thing. And
So you heard right there, the Minister of State for Agriculture and Food Security in Nigeria, Aliyu Abdullahi, drawing the curtains on Starr today on Starr 103.5 FM. There's more news for you at starfm.com.gh. I am Joshua Kodjo Mensah. Many thanks for joining us right here on Starr 103.5 FM. Do so next week. Tomorrow we are live back here on Starr 103.5 FM. At 6:30 we'll bring you Focus on Africa. Do stay with us.